Good evening, Namaste, Salamat Sore. Welcome to Manthan with Saraswathi, a captivating platform for enriching talks and podcasts. On Manthan with Saraswathi, we have had privilege of featuring distinguished doctors, educators, administrators, motivators, entrepreneurs, talented artists, well-read friends, and even my own students who are excelling in their lives. I'm Saraswathi and I'm thrilled to announce you to our new series, Femipreneur Fiesta, a vibrant chapter in our Celebrating Women in Business series here on Manthan with Saraswathi. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or simply someone who loves or who values stories of courage and growth, today's conversation promises both inspiring and practical insights. So, let's dive into the world of women entrepreneurs and hear directly from these incredible leaders paving the way forward.
Hello everyone and welcome to Manthan with Saraswathi. In this series on Femipreneur Fiesta, I'm very pleased to have young entrepreneurs for the last few episodes. And these young entrepreneurs are doing a wonderful job in their career. So today on Manthan with Saraswathi, I'm very pleased to have my very own student who connected with me on a very strange way, and that too on the way to Bali in the flight. So it's a very interesting episode which I share the memory with myself. Sometimes later I will be sharing it with you. But today let's meet Michelle Arsjad for the talk show on Manthan with Saraswathi in the series Femipreneur Fiesta. Let me introduce you to my young, talented, aspiring young entrepreneur, Michelle. Welcome to the talk show, Michelle.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I'm very pleased to have you here with me on the talk show, and it gives me a moment of pleasure and pride that you are doing so beautifully with seaweed business. You have a startup with seaweeds, and I think you said it's named Aquabloom.
Yes.
Michelle, can you tell our viewers more about Aquabloom?
Hi, I'm Michelle, right? I'm the CEO and founder of Aquabloom, which is a seaweed biotech company.
Okay.
Right? We are a startup. Our mission is to unlock the potential of tropical seaweed, specifically in Indonesia first, right? For the much wider ranges of uses that it can actually be used for. So we often think of seaweed as something that we just eat, right? In seaweed soup, in kimchi or sushi or something, right? No, not kimchi. So I think we often think of seaweed as something that we eat in seaweed soup, right? As sushi, right? But actually, there are two kinds of seaweed. There's seaweed that we eat, and then there's industrial seaweed, right? Indonesia is a leading producer of industrial seaweed. We produce 30% of the world's cultivated seaweed. Yet, many Indonesians, we don't know anything about it, right? The reason why is actually because seaweed farmers are amongst the poorest people in Indonesia, right? And most of the seaweed that we produce, 85% of it, we export raw. So if we want to actually develop the seaweed industry further in Indonesia, right, we need to process more of it locally for higher end uses, right? So that's what our company is doing. We are processing Indonesian seaweed and make it into fertilizer additives and feed additives.
Wow.
Right. Both of them are much higher margin, much higher price as well compared to what it's currently being sold into. So the concept is, I think, really quite beautiful, where we take what the seaweed farmers are producing, right, and process it into something that can actually help farmers on land, right? So from the ocean to the land, right? At the same time, empowering both sides.
That's a wonderful concept. From sea to land.
Yes.
And that's bringing seaweed from the sea to the land for the people, for the Indonesian people. Very wonderful. But tell me one thing, that when as a young entrepreneur, when you have so much of scope towards many other industries
Mm.
or many other kind of occupation. Why did you choose to
Yeah.
become an entrepreneur, and how did you embark upon this journey?
You know, ever since high school, right, where Miss Saraswathi was my teacher, and also just throughout my life, my mentors have always said that, try to do something that has the most impact on people.
Mhm.
So I've spent a lot of my career trying to find out, okay, how can I use my life to have the most impact on people? And so agriculture immediately drew my interest from the very beginning. So I've done a lot of work in agriculture. I started an agriculture foundation, right? I work a lot with smallholder farmers. I also work a lot with blue collars, right? Agriculture has always drew my interest, right?
Okay.
Why within agriculture I chose seaweed? I think there are many other people focusing on many other aspects of agriculture, right? A lot of startups already doing stuff, great things on farming, right? But I think at the end of the day, farmers need three things, right? They need to have the knowledge to be able to farm better. The second thing is that they need to have the financing to be able to make the right investments.
Financing.
And the third thing is that they actually just need better inputs, so better equipment, better fertilizer, right? Better feed, animal feed, right? So I figured, okay, right, what can I do to help on the third, actually?
Okay, very interesting to know how you became an entrepreneur. Like last few episodes on Manthan with Saraswathi, we are seeing these young girls giving back to the community. And I think you resonate so well, because the purpose of Manthan with Saraswathi is also giving back to the community in its own way. How you young entrepreneurs are doing it, I'm doing it at my level. It gives me a great pleasure that you guys are on the show talking to me and making me proud as a teacher and as a resident who's living in Indonesia. When you talk about agriculture, which is a prime concern in the present era, right?
Thank you, Miss.
Okay,
That's
thank
very
you.
kind.
Thank you very much, darling, for being here. Okay, now that you are into this business of seaweed, so you keep traveling, right? You have to find the coastal lines and you have to do that. So, as a young entrepreneur with so many other factors or other faculties to look into, like you have your own choices, you have your own, being young, you have so many other responsibilities to take care also. How do you manage your personal life and business life when you're traveling? And it's not easy, it's very hardship when you go out to the coastal areas, right?
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
That's a great question.
Okay, thank you.
I think that a mentor once told me, you can have it all, but not at the same time, right?
Okay, let's repeat that line again.
You
You can have it all.
You can have it all, but not at the same time.
Wow, very inspiring. Yeah, true.
And so I think that when I'm doing work and when I'm traveling, I'm just focused on that, right? And I set aside time. Right now, I'm not married. I don't have a family, right? So I have the luxury of set aside Monday to Friday for that, right? Or when I'm traveling on the field, then I'm just focused solely on that. However, on the times when I'm not working, right, I just spend time with my family, my friends, right, and I can focus wholly on that, right. I think what actually helps as well is that I have very different personalities between work me and personal me. So the shift is immediate and the shift is very obvious.
See, that's what is very important when you're running a business, that you need to know which is my personal time and which is my business time.
Yes.
And if you have sorted it out, you have found a way, I think nothing like it. Right.
Thank you.
Okay, now that you are balancing it beautifully, now that you don't have a family, you're balancing it right now, and family time is really, really very, very important.
Yeah.
Because that bond is for life.
Yeah.
Very good. But my next question would be like, when you are into this field, definitely like somebody motivated you. I would like you on this show, give a few advice or few advices to the young aspiring woman entrepreneur who want to either start a business or anything. Maybe it may not be in the same lines as what you are doing or the others have been doing, but what is that advice you would like to give the young entrepreneurs down there?
I will try to give advice. As a starting entrepreneur myself, I'm not sure I can give the best advice. I think
But any advice is a good advice because you are into it.
Yes.
And that's
yes,
what matters. So,
yes.
please, yeah.
I think the main thing is to find the right reason for you. It doesn't have to be a reason for social impact. It doesn't have to be anything, but it needs to be a reason that is honest, right? And be very honest with yourself, right? Some people do it because they want to have impact on a lot of people. Some people do it for the money, right? Some people do it because they want to make their parents proud. Whatever that is, right? It just needs to be something that really is strong enough of a reason to motivate you through the dark days, right? It needs to matter enough to you that when everything looks like it's not going to work out and everyone tells you it's not going to work out, right? That it's sufficient reason for you to keep going on.
Wow. Whatever happens, there is sufficient reason for you to figure out what you should be doing and why, like you should do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Whatever is the cost, whatever is that you have thought about,
Yeah.
you have that thing
Yeah.
to go on with.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think actually, if one cannot isolate that reason yet or cannot identify that reason yet, it's better not to start. Because I've seen when people start it and they're not honest with themselves, and then somewhere down the line they're like, oh, why am I not happy even though I'm doing
So
what I
much.
thought I wanted to do, or I'm doing so much, right? Or achieve success but don't feel satisfied, right? And stuff like that. So I think it's really important to take the time to identify that reason.
So according to Michelle, you are saying that we need to find out or we need to identify the reason why we are into the business,
Yeah.
right? Which is a very strongly notion which you need to imbibe within yourself, figure out what you want to do, and then you go and hit the grounds of entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. See, when you talk about your entrepreneurship in seaweed, you keep traveling. I know that. Like the conversation which we have had on the flight also says that you travel a lot. So you have traveled all over the place. In this time of when you started off with this business, definitely you had somebody who would have mentored you, right? You would have developed some kind of a networking. So I would like to know that what role does it play in the growth of an entrepreneur?
I think mentors are really important, right? Identifying the right mentor is also really important. And then the second part is engaging with the mentor in the way that is most conducive to your relationship. Finding the right mentor, right? A lot of people talk about, oh, find one that's the same gender, right? Find one that has the same industry experience. All that is important, right? But actually, I think the most important thing is having the right chemistry with your mentor, right? Sometimes you talk to someone and you feel like, oh, I get him, and he feels the same way, right? Or she feels the same way, right? Many of my mentors are men, right? Many of my mentors, I think, have very different personalities with me, right? However, what holds true is that for all of them, I have a good chemistry with them, right? And I think I have a lot of respect for them.
Okay. Now that you said the chemistry is important, does the gender also make a difference?
I think so. Honestly, yes, I think it does. Of course, ideally, one can find a mentor that is, same gender, same background, everything, so that they can relate, right? Ideally, yes, but one is
If there is another,
you don't always have that luxury to be able to pick,
select,
right? To be able to
yes.
select, right? And if they're well-meaning people who want to help you out, then well, go ahead, right? And the second part is actually, I think that listening from a different point of view is also very, very important. From having someone as a mentor who is very different from us, different gender, different background, because then they can give us the experience and the point of view that we don't have the luxury of having, right? For example, one of my mentors, right, who is a guy, right, he can tell me to have more confidence, and he can say, oh, Michelle, you need to have more confidence, right? And as a guy, we usually do this, we do things like this, right? Without the whole gender experience or whatever, but it was very valuable insight, right? I was like, oh, that's true. You've lived that experience, and you can tell me from your point of view what that looks like, right?
I think I get you. Do you have any pivotal moment in your business which shaped your approach towards your business?
I realized that the way to have the most impact on people is to build a profitable business, right? Because I was farming seaweed with my farmers, right? And I was trying to help them increase their productivity, all of those things, right? And their productivity did improve, so it doubled and everything. It was good. It was impactful. They were happy. We were happy.
Wow.
But I realized that what would be more impactful than all of this is to be able to buy the seaweed from them at a higher price, right? Just be the best off taker and just genuinely give them more economic value, right? Then I thought, okay, how am I going to do that? I can't do that now, right? I can only do that if I have such good product or such good access to the market that I can actually give them the guarantee that, if you're getting 5,000 now, I can pay you 6,000.
Yes.
Right. And I think, but of course for that, I have to be a profitable business. I have to be a sustainable business. I have to be profitable. I have to be sustainable. So yeah, that was what really, pivotal moment where I realized, okay, this is right. Entrepreneurship is the way to go.
Yeah. So see, Michelle, this is what is a striking quality of a business or a young business entrepreneur, that you think not just of your profit or your business, you also look into the person who is into your business, right? And the way you scaled it up is also amazing, and I'm very proud of you for that, right? When you're dealing with the other side of the industry of seaweed, have you ever come across failures? How did you deal with it?
Failures. Yes.
Or would you like to give in 2 mantras to the audience who is listening us, that how to overcome failures from your point of view? What are the 2 mantras you would like to give him? And let me tell the audience that if you are in listening to it, if you are liking the podcast, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so that you can hear more content like what we are doing at the moment. It's all giving back to the society. It's all giving back to the community. So let's hear from Michelle on her failures. What are the tips she overcomes the failure?
Yes. I really struggled with this actually in the beginning, overcoming failure. Because maybe I had the luxury of doing relatively well in school. So I didn't really get that training growing up, right? But in business, I think 2 things, right? The first thing is to be able to feel the failure deeply, right? My first harvest was a failure.
Okay, first harvest was
My first harvest was a failure.
Okay.
I planted 7 kilograms per line, and I harvested 7 kilograms per line, right? So basically, harvested the same thing I planted, right? So it was a failure.
So do you call it a failure if you planted 7 and you get back 7? Is it not the same or is it a failure?
It is a failure because I need to
double it.
or
Okay.
to be. I only sell the delta.
Okay.
Yeah. So
no, this is just for the audience. I
yes,
asked.
yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, and so the first thing I think is to actually feel the failure deeply. Allow yourself to feel the failure, right? The reason as to why that's important is because I think a lot of people like to be in denial of like, no, it doesn't bother me, right? No, I didn't fail, right? I didn't fail one, maybe a little bit hallucinatory, right? But if people are like, no, I don't feel it, right? It's okay, brush it off, right? Usually it will build up, right? And then it will lead to like a stress moment, which I had as well in the back of a truck where I ended up crying because of my harvest failure, right? So my lesson learned was actually just feel that failure. If we need to cry, just cry for an hour, 2, whatever, right? Then the second thing is actually to, after feeling the failure, just get back up quickly, right? And actually, that's why don't, if you need to cry for 1 hour, don't spread it over 1 month, right? Just like cry for an hour and then move on, right? And plan immediately for the future, right? My mentor likes to say, fail fast and learn fast, right? So sometimes I'm like, okay, I know this is going to fail, but I'm going to try anyway because I'm going to learn a lot out of it.
Yes. And Michelle wants to say that if you fail, feel it, cry over it, and bounce back.
Yes.
That's what you'd like to tell them?
And the faster you cry, the faster you can bounce back.
Okay, right. Can you tell the viewers that what role does the technology play in shaping the business?
Yeah.
What kind of technology do you use to communicate, or how do you go about with connecting to farmers? What do you do? What kind of
Yeah.
technology do you use?
So right now we use WhatsApp mostly,
Okay,
actually,
okay.
the cheapest, right,
Yeah, the
to talk
cheapest
to
one, yeah,
farmers,
yeah.
right? But in the past, in some of the other startups I've worked in some of the other organizations that I've worked in, right? It's actually really helpful to use Google dashboards, right? To be able to, it's actually really helpful to use Google dashboards, right? To be able to present the data from the field, to be able to know in real time what the field looks like, right? And to be able to track, right? So I think that's something else as well. Other communication tools that I've used are Slack, right? Maybe Slack is kind of like email, but better.
Better
Combination
version
of
of?
Slack and WhatsApp. Of email and WhatsApp is Slack, I think. Right?
Okay, this is something new I'm learning.
Oh, really?
I didn't know about Slack. Yeah, thank you so much for it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
there's Discord, but I don't know how to use it, but a lot of people do, right?
Okay.
Especially in engineering backgrounds, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things as well. But even for me right now, right, like I don't pay my payroll traditional way. I don't go to the bank and pay it one by one like my mother does, right? I actually use
I need to learn from your mom then.
Yes.
Now that we have finished with all these kind of entrepreneurial questions, I just want to have some few chit chat one-liners.
Yes.
If your business had a mascot, what would it be? It would be a cheetah or a slug.
It's just those two options.
Yeah,
right?
there's the two options. Or do you
Okay.
want to have a third option? That's okay.
No.
You can choose your name. You can. What is it?
Yeah. I think for sure cheetah,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because for us speed is important, right? So we're always testing very, very quickly, right? Because of the fail fast
Yeah.
mentality, right? So we're always testing very quickly, right? But I think cheetahs are also really precise, right? Like they can walk across very narrow ledges, right? I've heard.
Okay.
I've
okay.
never seen, but I've heard, right? That's the case, right?
So you want the
and
cheetah?
So yes.
The
yes.
cheetah. Okay. The next question, it's just one liner. When you are very busy in your personal space and you have a meeting coming up, okay? So now, if you want to avoid a meeting, what kind of creative excuse will you make?
So I don't like lying, so I try not to lie.
Okay.
But what I will do is schedule another meeting in the same time frame before giving an answer.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, agreed.
So, because I cannot keep track of my own life, right? So I try not to lie.
Very good. But that's a very saint philosophy, you know. Be truthful. You say whatever you've said remains constant.
Yes.
But you keep lying, you may forget that to this person, what did I lie? And to the other person, what did I lie?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Very nice. Okay, another question, which is a very funny one. Like when you have had your mentors, when the advisors come in, for a moment you would have felt that, oh my God, what a weird advice this person is giving me. But then you went back home and you tried that advice and it clicked. Has it happened to you sometimes? What is it like?
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. I have a mentor who is really, very, very full effort for me. So he spends sometimes 4 hours in the weekend, right? Pep talking me, right? And one of the things that he said to me is, Michelle, you need to take control of your life, right? And then I was like, I am in control of my life. He's like, no, you need to take control of your life. Right? And I was like, okay. I didn't think about it until like 2 months or 3 months later. I realized, okay, you're right. I do need to take control of my life.
So it's something very funny when somebody says, take control of your life. I'm already in control. What
Yeah,
else?
I am in control. There's no one else in my life. I am in control, right?
Listeners, people who are following us, take control of your life and get something going after listening to these young entrepreneurs. I would like to take this moment to thank Michelle for coming up to Manthan with Saraswathi and sharing her thoughts. So I want to thank Newman, who is standing behind the camera and for shooting this lovely little podcast for us. Next time we meet with yet another entrepreneur on Manthan with Saraswathi. Till then, it's bye-bye. Bye. High five.